Have you ever wanted a new shirt and then realized that instead of spending money on something new to buy, you could just make one yourself?
I found myself in that very predicament. But to further customize my new shirt, I wanted to make it out of a fabric that I never wear linen.
It's summer and it's hot, and linen happens to be the most cooling fabric perfect for summer. Okay, first step. Take a shirt that fits you well and fold it in half and trace along the back. Don't trace over the sleeves, those are going to be traced separately. Then do the same with the front. Then trace out the sleeves. You're going to have to fold them a few times, just refold, then align where you left off. Here we have our sleeve, front, and back pattern pieces. Next, take those pattern pieces and trace around your fabric. I have to go over with pencil a few times to make sure I can see the lines. You can also use chalk, but I wouldn't suggest marker. Then you're going to cut those pieces out, not on the line you made, but about a ½ inch away from the line. This is going to be your seam allowance. On the hems of the sleeve and the bottom, give a little more, an inch will do. Okay, time to start actually sewing. First, line up the front and back, and then stitch along the lines along the shoulders. Next, align your sleeve to the arms hole, pin in place, then sew along that line. Next seam is along the entire side of the shirt, starting from the end of the sleeve all the way down to the bottom. Do the same thing with both sides, of course. Since this is a Henley collar, we need to make the placket. On a piece of paper, draw a rectangle 5½ by 3 inches long and draw a line separating 2 inches and 1 inch. Then once you've got that cut out, trace it over the fabric and cut it out. We need to mark a point in the center front, then measure the point a ½ inch away. This is going to be where you line up the line in the placket piece. Then you're going to put pins on both sides of the line. I'm marking a point 1 inch above the bottom because that's where the seam ends. You're then going to sew 2 seams on both sides of the line right up next to it, but not on it. Once that seam is made, carefully cut right on that line. Then flip the placket to the inside and iron flat. Also iron down the seam allowance on the sides. Then sew that flap down and do the same thing with the other side of the placket with the addition of folding it in half first. Now that that's all taken care of, we can move on to the buttons. I'm using 2, just make sure they are evenly placed. Sew them on, then do the buttonholes. I'm folding the placket over the buttons, then drawing out a line down the diameter of the buttons to mark where the hole would be. Then sew your buttonholes, then cut out the hole. If you use a seam ripper like me, be careful not to cut the threads. The last piece you will need to cut is a bias strip long enough to be sewn and tucked along the neckline. Then to finish, we just need to hem the bottom and the sleeves. And it's also a good idea to finish the seams. Now you can enjoy your custom self-made linen shirt. On mine, the sleeves were a little tight, so learn from my mistakes and make sure you're using a nice big shirt when you're making your pattern. Enjoy!